Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we'll be discussing Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 4, text 9. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. So Krishna here, having mentioned in the previous verses why he comes and what is the nature of his appearance. And now he says, one who can understand his appearance, janma, and his activities, karma, are divine, divyam. Me janma karma divyam. Krishna's janma and karma are divyam, or transcendental. In this way, evam, yaha, one who veti tattvataha, one who understands this in truth. What happens to that person when he quits this body or when he dies? Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti, he will not attain another birth. So where does he go? Mameti, so Arjuna, he will come back to me, he will attain me, O Arjuna. So Prabhupada writes the translation, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So, Lord's Janma and Karma are Divyam. Our Janma is material Janma. We are forced to be born to a particular set of parents in a particular species. One time I was preaching to somebody and I asked them a question. So you have a choice to select a car. He just bought a car. And you had a choice to rent a particular house in a particular neighborhood. You had a choice to find a good wife according to your taste. And you had a choice to get a particular job or position. But did you have a choice to select your parents? The answer was clearly no. Did we have a choice to be born rich or poor? Did we decide or choose to be born as a human being? Did we have a choice to be born as beautiful or with a high IQ? No. This is our janma. Karmana daiva netrena jantur dehopapattaye. Our janma is forced by our karma, our previous activities, in accordance with daiva netrena, judgment of daiva netra. Whereas the Lord's janma is not forced, he is not obligated. He appears by his sweet will. He appears as he is for his pleasure. Sambhavami Atmamayaya. How he appeared is described in Bhagavatam. Tamadbhutam balakamambuje chaturbhujam shankagadadyudayudham Srivatsalakshmam galashobhikaustubham Pitambaram sandrapayoda shaubhagam. So in this way he appeared, the Lord appeared with Chaturbhujam Shankagadadyudayudham, with his four arms and having Shankha Chakra Gada Padma. Srivatsa, he was decorated with a Srivatsa mark on his chest and Kaustuba jewel on his neck, with fully grown hair and decorated with all kinds of ornaments. Maharha Vaidurya Kirita Kundala, Tvisha Parishvakta Sahasra Kuntalam Uddama Kanchiyangada Kankanadibihi. He was wearing armlets, bracelets, waist belt, all kinds of ornaments. Virochamanam Vasudeva Aikshata. Vasudeva and Devaki saw this. So Krishna appeared not as an ordinary boy. He appeared with four arms to show that he was not ordinary child. And later he converted into two arms, the original Krishna form. So this is the Lord's Janma. It's divine, Divyam. Similarly, Lord's karma activities, our activities are material activities. It is full of pain and subject to karma. Every activity of ours requires five things to be successful. Adhishtanam tadha karta karanam cha prutakvidam vividhascha prutak cheshta. So you need proper place or capital, you need proper senses, you need to will to do it, you need your endeavor, and finally your Daiva factor. Daiva has to approve it. But Lord's karma is not like that. He is not dependent on anything else. Just by his willing, things will happen. Swabhaviki gnana bala kriyacha. Naturally, just by his will, let there be creation, and the creation happens. Sahaikshata, sahasrujata. These are all the Vedic aphorisms. By our will, nothing will happen. Even if we desire something, cherish something, want to possess something, we have to work so hard, and in spite of that, it may not happen. And our karma will produce all kinds of bad reactions, and it will cause suffering to a lot of entities. But the Lord's karma is divine. Whatever he does is divine. It causes only beneficial effect for those the Lord is acting on. We cannot do the Lord's divine activities like killing a demon when he was 6 days old. A child, baby, when he was 6 days old, he killed Putana. Imagine a normal baby, 6 days old. He can barely open his eyes and struggling to adapt to the atmosphere of this world. Krishna lifted Govardhana hill when he was a small boy. Ramachandra built a bridge on the ocean with the help of monkeys and throwing stones. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was walking through the forest, Jharikanda forest, he made these lions, tigers, elephants, deer, bears, everyone dance in ecstasy with his chanting of holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Krishna's activities, Krishna or his incarnation, their activities are not mundane, they are divine. Krishna's body, even though it is said, Advaitam Achyutam Anadi Mananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayavvanam Cha. He is Adyam Purana Purusham. He is the oldest, the origin of everything. So if somebody is very old, our experience is that their body ages and they look very weak and devoid of beauty. But Krishna looked most beautiful, Navayavvanam Cha, and the most youthful. We usually have to eat with our mouth, but Krishna can eat with his eyes. Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti. He can, any of his senses can do the activity of any sense. He can beget a child without the help of his consort. Why? Because he is divine. He is not like us. We should not think he is like us. He is completely different. He does not have a body made of this earth, water, air, fire, ether, kapha, pitta, vayu. His body is Satchidananda Vigraha. We are controlled by nature. He is the controller of the nature. Krishna, he was outside when he was in the exhibiting his pastimes. When Ashwadhama released that Brahmastra to attack and kill Parikshit, but simultaneously Krishna entered the womb of Uttara to protect Parikshit Maharaj. This is divine. This is called divine, transcendental. We cannot do these kind of things. Our activities are mundane. So, why should we be bothered about the Lord's Janma and Karma? And why, when we understand the nature of His divine birth and activities, we get promoted to His eternal abode? So there was this king in this kingdom who was a good king, but there was severe drought in that kingdom. So he consulted the ministers, he evaluated the options, and so they sent a circulation to the people of that kingdom that from henceforward there will be taxes, this much taxes, heavy taxes. And the people, they became very upset. Already there is drought, and then you are levying so much taxes, and they rebelled. Somebody came and read out that circulation, saying that from tomorrow onwards there will be 40% taxes on people. And everybody revolted, and they started to come to the king's palace and started to stage protests, and it was becoming uncontrollable. So it was going on. The king didn't know what to do. He thought he had a good solution, consulting the ministers. What happened? And so after a week, suddenly he saw these protests coming down without him doing anything. And then he was surprised. What happened? People were all happy, going around with their business. And then he inquired and found out that there was one gentleman who spoke to this people, conducted meetings, and clarified the intent of the king. The king basically said there will be 40% taxes on people who are very rich and who only want to pay the tax. But the last sentence had been edited out by unscrupulous people who wished bad for the king, and they circulated a changed version. But this man, he understood the intent of the king. The king is a good-hearted person. He would never do like that. So when he dug up, he found out that that sentence was eliminated. And so he educated everyone and convinced that this is only for those who can afford. And this is a very good scheme by the king. And then the king understood. This is the only man who understood my real intent. I'm going to hire him. Bring him in. He's going to be placed as one of my chief advisors. From being an ordinary villager, he got elevated to that of being the associate of the king, chief advisor to the king. Why? Because this man understood the truth behind the king's activity, the nature of the king's activity, the purpose of the king's activity. Whereas ordinary people or those who are envious, they wanted to deride that king, attack that king. So this is what happens in this world. Conditioned souls who are envious, they're always trying to attack Krishna. They're trying to misinterpret his words, misunderstand his deeds, and they spread false information about him. And gullible, innocent people, they get misguided, go away from the path of Krishna consciousness. But those who understand in truth as it is, no, Krishna is not like this, Krishna is like this. Krishna's birth and activities are meant for this. He's not like us. They get entrance into the spiritual world. Tyaktva deham punarjanma, because they have truly understood Krishna, they deserve to enter into that abode of Krishna. So this is the biggest secret of Bhagavad Gita, how one can go back to Godhead. If we have faith on Krishna's, the nature of Krishna's birth, Krishna's body, Krishna's activities, if we take the instructions from those who are faithful, from those who are pure devotees, the pure devotees' spiritual masters' instructions, then we can simply accept as it is. Otherwise, people, they get misguided, they cannot accept, they cannot understand. Oh, how can a normal person, a human being, lift Govardhana hill? This must be some fantasy. How could he be the controller of this whole nature? Can any man control this whole nature? Oh, this must be fantasy. Because their brain, just like a frog in the well, cannot accommodate the size of the Atlantic Ocean. If a frog from the Atlantic Ocean came and told this frog, hey, you know what? I come from Atlantic Ocean. That is unlimitedly big than this well, the 5 feet well. And the frog says, oh, what are you saying? Can any ocean exist which is bigger than this well? Any water body exists bigger than this well? Maybe a few feet more than this well. So it is like that. For frogs in the well, it is very difficult. But if we can have the faith, then it is very easy. All we have to do is accept with faith, and then we can go back to Godhead. Tyaktva deham punarjanmanaiti mameti so Arjuna. So Prabhupada in this purport, he mentions something very wonderful. So this is not at all easy for the impersonalists and speculators. As I said, it's not easy for those who are impersonalists and speculators. But the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord, and after ending this body does not risk returning again. So Prabhupada makes one very powerful statement. If one who accepts this truth, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, tam eva viditva mrutyumeti nanyah pantha vidyate ayanaya. One can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing the Lord. There is no alternative. So there is no alternative than knowing the Lord in truth. So one should therefore cultivate Krishna consciousness with faith and knowledge, and in this way attain perfection. So I'll have to stop here today. Anyone has any questions or comments? Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai.